Now look at the bottom of the score sheet under Part 2 for placement information. Children who score 0 to 7 points, like Mary did on Part 2, begin with Reading Mastery 1, Lesson 11. Children who made 8 to 10 points begin, if possible, in Fast Cycle 1, Lesson 1. If you have only the Reading Mastery 1 program, you can use the Reading Mastery 1 material beginning students at Lesson 11 and try to do 2 lessons or more a day. I'll discuss more about acceleration procedures later in this series. Here's more information on program placement. You might have noticed that the highest placement from this reading placement test is Lesson 1 in the Fast Cycle program. Even if you took the test, the highest possible placement would be Lesson 1 of Fast Cycle 1. If some of your children are already reading a little and you feel they can place higher in the series, give them the Reading Mastery 2 placement test. Placement test information for Reading 2 is on page 2 of Reading Mastery 2 Teacher's Guide. If students do not place into Reading Mastery 2, place them into Fast Cycle 1 and teach on an accelerated basis. Now, a final note on placement. Both Reading Mastery 1 and Fast Cycle 1 can be used as remedial programs for children who are 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th graders. For these students, you should start placement procedures by giving the Reading Mastery 2 placement test. If a student does poorly in the Reading Mastery 2 test, we advise placement into the Fast Cycle 1 at Lesson 1. Before beginning instruction, test students on the sounds. Using the last page of your teacher's guide, point to each symbol and ask, "What sound?"
What sound?
If a child says the letter name, say, "Yes, that's the letter name. Do you know the sound?" Record the sounds the students identify correctly. The more sounds children know, the faster they will probably be able to progress through the program. Experienced teachers can often present 3 or 4 Fast Cycle lessons a day for the first several weeks of school if children already know many sounds. As soon as students start having difficulty making errors, teach fewer lessons during a period. Lessons should be scheduled on every available school day. The time requirement is approximately 30 to 35 minutes to complete the teacher-directed part of the lesson for each instructional group. An additional 10 minutes daily is required to teach spelling to each group. However, spelling can be taught to the whole class once all the children have reached and mastered the skills in Reading Mastery 1, Lesson 50, or Fast Cycle, Lesson 36. If you are in a regular classroom setting, while you are teaching one reading group, children from other instructional groups need to be engaged at independent activities. So you need to be prepared with sufficient appropriate seat work or other independent activities to keep occupied all those students who are not working with you. A packet of Blackline Masters is available as a source of worksheet activities. See the SRA catalog for information on ordering. Your minimal goal for each reading group is to complete a lesson each day. Occasionally, you may find that you will not be able to complete the entire lesson during the instructional period. When the choice is between teaching to mastery and completing the lesson, choose teaching to mastery. You can always complete the lesson later. In fact, some teachers schedule firm-up periods that can be used for completing lessons or for extra help for students who need it. If for any reason you have no time during a particular day to complete a full lesson, complete it the next instructional day and then begin the next lesson if you have enough time during that same period. When instead teachers rush through a program to complete a lesson each day instead of teaching to mastery, it becomes more difficult to teach because students have practiced performing incorrectly many times on more and more skills and concepts. They naturally become frustrated and discouraged, stop trying to learn, and may become behavioral problems for the teacher. The best procedure, therefore, is to firm the students when skills are first introduced. To do that, you must be well prepared not only to use direct instruction teaching techniques, but also you must have thoughtfully designed the physical setting for instruction. After you have the placement test results for all your students, you need to group students for instruction according to their performance on the placement test. Homogeneous grouping is necessary so that you can enable all children to progress at optimum rates while providing a successful learning experience. Ideally, kindergarten or first grade classes should have 3 instructional groups. The lowest performing group should be the smallest, with no more than 5 or 6 children. Conversely, the highest performing group should be the largest, with up to 10 children. After testing, teachers should meet to discuss their grouping with each other. If a teacher has too many groups, switching children to different classes should be considered. So teachers and administrators should be prepared to switch children to different classes after the first 2 or 3 weeks of school. Groupings should remain flexible throughout the year. For more information on grouping, regrouping, skipping, and mastery testing, see page 8 of your teacher's guide.